the Babylonian method to estimate the square root of 7 to the nearest hundredth. The Babylonian method to estimate square roots is similar to just regular estimating square roots. It's just that there is a formula to follow. Now we do some of the same things. The square root of 7, okay, let's see. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 5, or I'm sorry, the square root of 9 would be 3. 7 comes in between both of those. Okay, 7 is between 4 and 9. 4 and 9 being our perfect squares. So our first guess, let's say that is 2.5. Now in this formula that we are going to use, they have an R value, like an R1. That's your first guess. Your first guess. All right, and then they have an R2, which you can probably predict is your second guess. So those two variables you're going to see in this formula. All right, so our first guess is 2.5, and so far it's the same thing that we learned in our previous lessons of estimating square roots. Now what you're going to do, and this looks complicated, but stick with me here. You're going to take your R1, which is your first guess, which is 2.5. R1 is equal to 2.5 plus X, which is your original number here, 7. Okay, it's your radicand. So you're taking your radicand here, X equals 7, divided by your guess. So you're taking your guess, 2.5, plus your radicand divided by your guess. And so you're adding those two together, and then you're going to divide that all by 2. Okay? So we take 2.5 plus 7 divided by 2.5 is 2.8. We add those together, divide by 2, and we get 2.65. This 2.65 will now become your R2, or your second guess. So now we do the same thing again, only instead of using our initial guess of 2.5, now we're using 2.65. You use the same X value, it's 7. So we're going to take our second guess plus 7 over our second guess, all divided by 2. Okay, so then we have 2.65 plus 7 divided by 2.65 is 2.64. Divide that all by 2. Add these two together and divide by 2. You get 2.645, which rounds to 2.65. Now, since 2 and 3, like this would be your R3, this would be your third guess if you wanted to go that far. However, the second guess and the third guess are the same, or they're so close. So we are going to estimate that the square root of 7 is about 2.65. Now we're going to use the Babylonian method to estimate the square root of 30. So 30 will be our X. Our R1 will be determined by the fact, okay, let's think about the perfect squares that surround that. The square root of 25 is 5. And then the next higher one is the square root of 36 is 6. So those are the two perfect squares that surround it. So 5 and 6. 30 is right in between. Okay, so the square root of 30 would be between the square root of 25 and the square root of 36. So it's going to be 5 point something. and it seems very close to the middle. So my first guess I'm going to say is 5.5. Now I'm going to use our formula to figure out what my actual square root estimate is. All right, so my R1 is 5.5, so I'm going to say 5.5 plus x, which is 30, over 5.5. Going to divide that all by 2. Now I'm going to set that equal to, let's see, we have 5.5 plus, let's get our calculator and do 30 divided by 5.5. And that's 5.45 over 2. All right, so now we have 5.5 plus 5.45 is 10.95 over 2, and we get 5.475. This would round up to, I wonder if they want that to the nearest hundredth. We're going to go to the nearest hundredth. How about we do that? This would round up to 5.48. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing again. Let me get a piece of blank paper. We're going to do the same thing again, only this time we're going to use 5.48 as our second guess. So we have 5.48 plus our x, which is our 30, over 5.48, all divided by 2. 5.48 plus 30 divided by 5.48 is 5.47. Divide that all by 2. So now we're going to take 5.48 plus 5.47, and we get 10.95 again, divided by 2, and that gives us 5.475. So therefore, these two end up being the same. So therefore, the square root of 30 is just about 5.475. For our next one, we're going to estimate the square root of 200. Now, if you have your list of perfect squares, you will see that 14 squared is equal to 196, and 15 squared is equal to 225. Now, we're looking for 200. Where does that fit in? That fits in right here. A lot closer to 196 than to 225. So it's going to be 14 something. Like our x is going to be 200 in this case. And then our R1, or our first guess, is going to be 14 point something, because look at 200 is in between those two perfect squares. Now I'm going to start off with 14.1. And the reason I'm going with 0.1 instead of 0.5 is because 200 is so much closer to 196 than it is to 225. So I'm going towards the lower end of this guess. I'm going to take my first guess plus my x value, 200, over my first guess, all divided by 2. Now I'll have 14.1 plus 200 divided by 14.1 gives me 14.18, all divided by 2. And so now I have 14.18 plus 14.1, 28.28 divided by 2 gives me 14.14. Now, my initial guess was 14.1. The second guess is exactly the same. It's about the same. So I can stop here. As soon as you start getting the same answer, you can stop. So we're going to estimate that the square root of 200 is about 14.1.